Okay. So sorry. Okay, so I just wrote. Okay, let's talk about COVID without getting into the medical part of it because that is almost completely unknown. But I will talk about my experience about having it. If you know or have had it, it is a different experience for everyone. It is something unpredictable when it comes to actually getting it and the symptoms that you will have. This was my experience with COVID and how it affected me. First off, how did I get it? I have been careful with my mask and staying as much away from people as I can, but what about at home? My mom was the one who actually got it at her job and passed it on to me and my sister. I got a call from her while I was at work, and like I felt my heart drop. I was terrified of getting COVID because I have asthma, and it really scared me and thinking it could lead with me in the hospital. The fear was real, and having to go get tested was the worst. Thinking I was careful outside of my home, I thought I was safe inside, but I wasn't. After a couple of days of getting tested, I got the results, which of course were positive. After getting my results, I wasn't feeling so bad. I started with pain in my body and it wasn't too terrible. Being stuck at home was the worst part for me in the beginning since I was still working up until the time I got tested. My body aches got worse in the coming days, and my appetite started to go away because once I lost my taste, everything I ate tasted horrible. And sorry, that's all I got right now. Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, that was on me. Do you know how to make my screen big for the video?
Mm, like, mm, no, I
Mm,
think you put shares. Oh no, because that's share screen. No, that's something else.
Okay, well, hopefully he doesn't care. Okay.
No, I think it's just that we're talking to each other. They see we're actually doing it.
Yeah,
It should be better.
okay. I'm probably gonna have to read most of this. Okay.
Yeah.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? My grandma loves to travel, and for my middle school graduation, she took me on a trip to Africa for 2 weeks. Having the chance to experience Africa was one of the most memorable trips that I'll ever take. It was such a good experience to be able to see the wildlife up close and to gain more knowledge about their culture. My trip to Africa was eye-opening and it touched my heart in so many different ways. As a kid growing up in America, we don't realize how privileged we are. Besides going on safaris and getting to see animals in the wild, we also got to visit a Maasai village and learn about their way of life. The people there were very nice and actually let us inside of their homes, which were made of mud and sticks. They had two tiny beds, which were basically cots, and they didn't even have the chance to own pillows. They don't have air conditioning or heating, which it gets very hot in Africa. There was also no bathrooms and no showers in the village. But we also did get to see the classrooms where they send their children to school. The kids were actually learning English and they sung us their ABCs for us, and you could tell they were so eager to learn. Before we left the village, they showed us their way of dance and music, which gave me a better perspective on their culture. They did a dance called Adamu, which is a jumping dance. The purpose of the dance is to jump as high as you can, which they can jump really high, and it was pretty impressive. It takes a lot of energy to do this dance. But they were all happy, smiling and laughing, and we actually had the chance to dance with them too. My visit to the Maasai village was what touched my heart the most on this trip. It made me thankful for everything that I have, and I always took it for granted. These villagers don't have much, but they were all so happy and enjoyed their lives to the fullest. I was so happy to see that they had a school for the children and that they enjoyed learning. In addition to visiting the Maasai village, I also saw the health conditions that they were living with and how they don't have access to healthcare like we do in America. One thing that stuck out to me is the water that they were forced to drink for survival. Being a tourist, we were told not to drink the water from sinks and showers because we could become severely ill. We had to brush our teeth with water bottles. And to me, it was sad because their bodies are so used to that water to the point where they don't get sick from it anymore. And before leaving for Africa, we had to get a yellow fever vaccination to ensure that we wouldn't catch it. And most people in Africa don't have the chance to access vaccines and are just as susceptible to catching disease as we are. There are up to 60,000 deaths in Africa due to yellow fever. Many people catch yellow fever because they don't have the health benefits or money to prevent it. We also had to take malaria pills, and some hotels actually had mosquito nets around the beds. Malaria is a huge problem in Africa, and the people aren't protected from it. Malaria is more common in Africa because they have a different species of mosquitoes, and many people die from it. People in Africa are living in very poor health conditions and they don't have clean drinking water and are suffering from many different kinds of diseases. First, I learned a lot about African culture on my trip. I will forever be grateful for the experience. Second, it made me thankful for everything that I have. Even though sorry. Second, it made me helpful for everything that I have. And it was nice to see that even though they have many hardships, they are still happy. And finally, the health conditions in Africa was very poor. And even though America's aren't the best, we are very fortunate to have the opportunity to get healthcare. When we are young, we don't realize how lucky and privileged we are. The lesson that I learned from taking this trip is to not take anything for granted. This was the most eye-opening trip I have ever taken, and I hope to go back one day and make a difference. Thank you all for listening, and I hope that one day you all get a chance to visit a country that is less fortunate than us and can learn about the different cultures. Okay.
Oh, wait.